Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I had a crazy sexual experience over the weekend. Threesomes, BDSM, 7 hours of sex. Jesus Christ, it was insane. We'll talk about that in a second, but I want to set a little bit of context first. So, a guy in my coaching program was putting all this pressure on himself that he had to be honest and upfront about wanting a casual relationship with women, which amazing. Yes, we preach honesty and being upfront all the time on this channel, but he was putting pressure on himself to say it in a perfect way. I explained to him that I am not always smooth. Even after years of doing this stuff, I've been working on my sex life or exploring my sex life for about 9 years now. I am obviously dating my lovely girlfriend Imogen. We've been together for 6 years. We have threesomes and BDSM with girls and all that. But before I met her, for about maybe 4 years, I was going out there and exploring sex on my own. I was walking outside and approaching women and hitting on them. I was on Tinder and Hinge and all of that stuff. I was having just regular sex at the start, and then I got into BDSM and did a whole bunch more of that. And at this point, I've had hundreds of sexual experiences, maybe 1,000, I don't know. I don't particularly count. A lot of sex. And I used to put all this pressure on myself to be perfect. I literally recently talked about this in this video here on my YouTube channel that just went up a couple of days ago, that I used to be so obsessed with being this like perfect alpha male. And when I say an alpha, what I mean is a person who wants to be like perfect all the time. That was basically me. I had to be perfect. I had to be smooth. I had to be all of this shit. And at some point, I figured out, after dating and sleeping with enough women, that perfection is kind of overrated. And this chase or this obsession with being perfect and always having the perfect thing to say and always having the smoothest pickup lines and all of that shit, it just made me feel fake. I didn't feel like a human being. I didn't have any allowance or any room for imperfection. I was never allowed to make a mistake, or I put the pressure on myself, and I guess other people put pressure on me too, to never make a mistake, to always have the smoothest pickup lines and the perfect thing to say and just be charming and perfect and all of that kind of shit. And I wasn't building connections with women. I was plowing through them. I was having a whole bunch of sex, but I was being fake and shallow and vapid. I guess not vapid, but fake and shallow. And no one was ever getting to know the real me. And it felt very shallow. Like I said, I had probably sex with, I don't know, 100 to maybe 150 women like that, where I was just having sex for the sake of having sex and being very sort of like fake and shallow and perfect lines and smooth and all of that. And at some point I figured out this isn't satisfying. This isn't what I want. I don't want to just have more sex. I've had sex with this many women. I could go and have sex with another 500, 2,000 women like this if I really wanted to, but why? What would be the point? So at some point, I started going deep on honesty, vulnerability, connection, building something with women, giving them an amazing experience, having an amazing experience myself, all that beautiful, deep shit that we talk about here on this channel. And as I went deeper on that sort of stuff, on the honesty, on the vulnerability, on not needing to be perfect, on not stressing so much about like, what if I don't have the perfect line or the perfect answer, or what if she doesn't think I'm perfect? As I went deeper on that, a funny thing happened. I stopped giving a shit about other people's reactions. I became outcome independent. Funnily enough, when I took away the pressure to be this like perfect alpha male or this perfect human being who always had the perfect pickup lines and the perfect thing to say, I no longer cared if someone rejected me. I no longer cared if I said something and it came out awkward. I no longer cared about awkward silences. I no longer cared about what if she thinks less of me? What if she thinks I'm a beta male? What if she thinks I'm weak? What if she thinks I'm pathetic? I stopped giving a shit because I started liking myself. It's very easy to like yourself when you're deeply honest and when you don't stress about phrasing things perfectly. And it's a little bit harder to like yourself when you're trying to put up this front of always being perfect. And so the deeper I went on this stuff, the more I started to embrace what you might call clumsiness, or giving myself space or room to make a mistake sometimes, to not always have the perfect line to say, or to want to say something, but not know how to phrase it in a smooth way. And so kind of just blurt it out awkwardly. And I call this now autistic honesty. And you might have heard me talk about that on the channel sometimes. I will use that phrasing with my coaching clients when they're saying, I want to tell this girl that I don't know, I like her, or I want to tell her that I just want a casual relationship, or I want to ask her for, some kinky thing to try in the bedroom. And women will ask me the same questions. I want to tell this guy that I like him, or I want to tell this guy blah, blah, blah. Like, I want to tell someone something. How do I phrase it? And I will say, imagine that you had, mild autism and you didn't know how to be smooth. You didn't know social cues. All you knew was like honesty and just blurting out what you wanted or what you were thinking. Try that. Be autistically honest. I've said before, I'm probably on the spectrum myself. So just embrace that beautiful honesty or that beautiful autism, that beautiful honesty, and just blurt it out. Just tell the fucking truth. Say it awkwardly. Just say it. And the more I did that myself and the more I've seen my coaching clients do that over the last, 4 or 5 years, beautiful things happen. Doors open up when you're just autistically honest and you blurt out the truth. Some people won't like it, but the vast majority of people will like the fact that you're honest. They will like the fact that you just say what you want. You say what's on your mind. I mean, on my YouTube channel just 3 weeks ago, have a look on the screen. 3 weeks ago, I posted this. I said, if you've been waiting for a sign to try being more honest and upfront in your dating or sex life, here you go. This is it. Just some random woman on Hinge saying the way to win me over is being blatantly honest. And that's like really common, by the way. Like lots of girls have that. I just saw that and took a screenshot and was like, fuck it, I'll share this. But there are a lot of girls that will literally say, can you just fucking be honest with me? And there are obviously a lot of men that say, can women just fucking be honest with me? People love honesty. And so as I took away this pressure to be this like perfect, smooth guy, and I just started being blatantly honest, I just blurted out what I wanted. I found that most people responded amazingly to that, and my sex life became so much easier. I took off all this pressure on myself to be perfect, to be this like fucking alpha male Chad who always has the right thing to say. I started building deeper connections. The sex became a lot kinkier because when you're honest and upfront and you just say what's on your mind, you then almost inspire the other person to do the same thing. If you're just honest and upfront and you don't worry about phrasing things perfectly, you just kind of blurt it out, the other person goes, fuck it, whatever I want to say, whatever kinks I want to try, whatever I've been holding back, maybe I can just blurt it out because this person won't judge me because they just blurted out things in a very clumsy way. They clearly have no issue with not being perfect all the time. So honesty led to some beautiful connections and some amazing sex over the years. And what's funny is I now have as much sex as I used to have. Actually, to be fair, we now see women for longer. So technically, you could say I'm sleeping with less new people, but we have more sex with those people that we're seeing ongoing. But we have more sex now or as much sex as I used to have. But now I get to be honest about it. And now I don't have to worry about being perfect. I don't have to live in fear of saying something in a clumsy, awkward way. And so I had this big conversation with this coaching client of mine, and I related it to, because again, for context, he was putting pressure on himself. He wanted to tell some women that he wanted something casual, like casual sex, a casual relationship, but he was putting pressure on himself to phrase it perfectly. And so I told him this story that I'm now about to tell to all of you of this girl that Imogen and I met over the weekend. And I wasn't perfect. I was very clumsy at multiple points. I didn't know the perfect way to phrase something. So I just phrased it in my autistically honest, awkward Andy way. And it worked out beautifully. And it almost always does. There are like fucking 50 more stories I could tell like this, but I guess I'm telling this one because it relates to this coaching client. And by the way, on a side note, I know I don't share stories of my sex life much anymore. That was something that I used to do all the time. And those are still over on my blog. If you go to killyourinaloser.com, I have a whole bunch of like stories that I've written, like little write-ups of my sex life and Imogen's and my sex life. Some of the women that we've met, some of the women I met by myself, all of that's still there. I know I don't bring them up a lot on this channel. If you guys and girls want more of that, like I don't know how interested in that you guys and girls are, but I'm very happy to share stories of my sex life. Like I can talk about what we do, what we get up to, what Imogen and I get up to, what we do when we meet new women. I'm happy to have most of them on the podcast. Most of them will come on the podcast, like if they're anonymous, if they don't show themselves on camera and they don't use their name. So I'm very happy to share more of that if you guys and girls are interested. I just don't know what you guys and girls are interested in. So leave a comment if you want more sex stories. Like I'm very happy to share that. Obviously, if it's on YouTube, I have to keep it like relatively educational, if you get what I mean. Like I can't sit there and try and tell a fucking dirty story and get you all horny. But I can do like almost a play-by-play and be like, and then we went into the bedroom and we tried some BDSM and we whipped her and that was really fun. And she was like moaning and it was like really sexy. It was fun. I can talk about it in kind of like an educational way. Whereas over on my blog, they're basically sex stories. Like I'm literally writing almost erotic fiction. So anyway, if you guys and girls are more interested in that, let me know. Like I'm very happy to share that. But anyway, let's get into this sex story. This educational sex story. And this is the profile, the Hinge profile that Imogen uses. So you can see all the pictures, and we're pretty honest in the profile, obviously. You know, it says there on the right, the one thing you should know about me is I'm in an open relationship. We're both into BDSM and we're both very good at teaching. And the first message that she sends is a BDSM / threesome dynamic something that you would like to explore with us? Blah, 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 etc. So we match with this very, very, very pretty, very, very, very sweet, and very, very, very adorable Swedish girl who's, I think, 19, 20, something around that age. And, you know, the two of them talk for a bit, blah, 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 get a phone number, organize a date, and we meet up. And oh my God, this girl is incredibly pretty. Oh my God, she's incredibly sweet. And she hadn't done a lot of BDSM stuff, or she had never done any BDSM. She had kissed a couple of girls like in clubs and her friends and stuff like that, but never really had much sexual experience with women. She'd only had sex with, I think she said, 2 guys, and didn't have a lot of experience. You know, with those 2 guys, they were both basically not really what she was looking for, so she only had sex a couple of times, blah, blah, blah. So inexperienced, incredibly pretty, Swedish with an adorable accent, and very incredibly sweet. And we hung out and we had this amazing date, and we were there for about, God, I don't know, like 6 or 7 hours of hanging out. And it was kind of incredibly romantic. We hung out in a park. We talked about sex, BDSM, what she might want to try, what she might not want to try, you know, her experience level, what she was looking for from us, maybe what we were looking for from her, all of that kind of stuff. We went on a boat ride, you know, we went to a bar and had like a romantic little cocktail and stuff like that. And it started to get dark. The night was kind of finishing up, and I wanted to invite her back to our place, which is something that we normally don't do on the first date. What we like to do is have a first date where we just hang out and talk and get to know each other. And then that gives her a chance to go away and think about whether she definitely wants to have BDSM and sex and threesomes with us. And it gives us a chance to go away and discuss whether or not we definitely want to do that with her. Gives everyone a chance to sort of go away, maybe talk to their friends or whatever, and figure out if we want to go forward. But I felt like and I quietly discussed it with Imogen when we had a spare second, you know, when this girl was away for a spare second. I discussed it with Imogen, hey, I kind of really fucking like her, and you kind of really fucking like her. Like, do you want to invite her back to our place and see what she says, and at least just try a couple of things, maybe make out a little bit, fool around. We don't have to go hardcore with the BDSM and stuff, but I'm having fun. Do you want to invite her back and sort of make an exception to our rule? And she was like, yeah, okay, we can do that. And in my brain, and this is how it ties into what I said at the start of this podcast about honesty and clumsiness and not knowing the perfect way to say things, in my brain, I was like, okay, what is the perfect way to invite her back? And it's funny that after this many sexual experiences, my brain always plays this trick on me. Every single time when it's time to say, do you want to come back to my place? My brain will go, all right, man, you got to be smooth with this. Like every time, like clockwork. After like fucking 10 years of doing this, my brain still, that little voice is like, all right, got to be smooth. And every time I have a little chuckle to myself and I'm like, all right, this game again, hey? And I've heard the same from people that do public speaking and people that are like massive performers. Like if you look up Eminem is a good example, you know, worldwide famous fucking Eminem rapper, still gets nervous when he goes on stage, but he just doesn't give a shit anymore. He's so used to that nervous feeling that he's just like, whatever. It's almost like an old friend that's visiting you. You know, that anxiety or that fear is an old friend visiting you again. You're like, hi, old friend. Hi, anxiety again. How's it going? And so I get this anxiety before every time I invite a girl back, without fail. 100% of the time I feel this. And probably also because I'm sober on dates and stuff like that. But I feel this anxiety. I take a deep breath every single time. And here's what I say to myself. And this is the trick that all of you can say to yourself. I'll say, it is okay to be awkward. It's okay to be clumsy as fuck. I have no expectations of what her answer will be, only curiosity. I'm just going to autistically, honestly blurt it out. And so every time I just like vomit out the words, and I'm just like, hey, normally we don't do this on the first date. We normally wait till the second date, but we're having so much fun with you. We both like you. You're really cool. You're very pretty. Would you like to come back to our place with us and maybe try some stuff and see what we feel and make out a little bit and fool around? And she kind of thinks about it for a little bit, and you can see she's kind of nervous, and she's like, I want to, but I have work in the morning. Let me check. So she checks her calendar, checks her schedule. She's like, I have to get up in the morning. Can we maybe do it a different night? And so I was like, yeah, hell yeah, of course we can. And so we kind of organized, well, when are you free? Are you free tomorrow? Yeah, I'm free tomorrow. And we end up meeting the next day. But in that moment, when I was blurting it out, do you want to come back with us? There was no need to be perfect. I just blurted it out. And spoiler alert, by the way, we ended up meeting the next day and had crazy sex. But staying on that first night. So we're still on the first night, right? So I've just blurted out to her, do you want to come back with us and try some stuff? Very awkwardly, very clumsily. I did not phrase it perfectly. I never do. I never try and phrase anything perfectly. I'm very clumsy. You'll even see in these podcasts or these videos, I am often not eloquent. I am very clumsy at times. I don't give a shit. I just don't care anymore because I've been clumsy so many times. So I blurt that out. All three of us organized like when we're next going to meet up. But we're still hanging out that night, right? We decided to hang out for about another 45 minutes after that. And so we're kind of in the car park and we're waiting for an Uber to pick us up. And she and Imogen are kind of just talking to each other. And I'm looking at her. I'm looking at both of them. But I'm looking at this Swedish girl. And I can't help but think to myself, and I'd thought this the entire fucking night, she is ridiculously pretty. Just like a Swedish beauty. She's so unbelievably pretty, and she has such beautiful eyes, and she has this cute little laugh, and she's very tall, and she has like lovely long hair, and just incredibly fucking sexy. And the two of them are talking, and they're in the middle of the conversation, and my brain says, I want to kiss her. My instincts, my energy, my fucking horny animal instincts say, holy shit, I want to kiss her. She's unbelievably pretty. And every time I want to kiss someone, by the way, my brain does the same little fun game. It goes, all right, you have to do it in a smooth way. And sometimes I do it in a smooth way, but most of the time, whenever I hear that little voice that's like, all right, be smooth, like kiss her in a smooth way, I laugh in my head and I'm like, why? Why do I have to be smooth? What's wrong with an awkward kiss? What's wrong with looking like a bit of a dork? What's wrong with just saying what I want and seeing what happens? And so every time I have that pressure on myself to be smooth, with sex, with kissing, with inviting them back, with anything really, I laugh at that voice and I say, fuck it. I'm going to be autistically honest. And so the two of them are standing there talking to each other in the middle of conversation. And I just blurt out, I want to kiss you. Can I kiss you? I just blurt that out. Can I kiss you? I want to kiss you. Can I kiss you? And she kind of looks at me and she's starting to blush. She's very inexperienced. She hasn't had a lot of experience, hasn't had a lot of sex, hasn't had a lot of kissing. And she's in the middle of conversation with Imogen. And I've blurted this out. We're in public, by the way. We're just standing in some random car park. There's like people over there. There's people everywhere. And it's like, I want to kiss you. Can I kiss you? She kind of blushes like crazy and looks down a little bit and then kind of is like, okay. And so I lean forward and, there's no smooth way to kiss someone who's very inexperienced. Again, she'd only ever had 2 sexual experiences. Very inexperienced. There's no way to be smooth with that. So I never put the pressure on myself to be smooth with that, especially when you're kissing someone with your girlfriend standing right there and then a bunch of people over there and a bunch of people over there. There's people everywhere. There's probably no way to be smooth with that. And so I'd rather just be honest, even if that's clumsy. And so I lean forward and we go to kiss and it's very awkward because guess what? She's very fucking nervous and very fucking shy and very fucking inexperienced. But we kiss and it's, kind of an awkward kiss. And then she pulls back. And then she kind of leans forward like she wants another kiss, but her nose kind of bumps against my nose and it's a little bit awkward and her lips are a little bit too tight because she's clearly too nervous. And who gives a shit? It was an adorable, cute, sweet little moment and a sweet kiss. And she pulls back and she looks at Imogen, and then Imogen kisses her, and then I look at her again and I want to kiss her again. So I just blurt out awkwardly, I want to kiss you again. And then she kisses me. Like, awkward as fuck. And that happened another 2 times in the night. We ended up going for a walk and getting some food, and there was another 2 times I wanted to kiss her. So I just fucking awkwardly said it. Can I kiss you? I want to kiss you. Ugh. And then it happened. And I've had so many of my coaching clients who that's how they kiss women, They will say to me, what is the perfect way? If I'm on a date with a girl and I really like her and she likes me, like, how do I kiss her? Like, what do I say? And I'm like, just fucking use your words. Just autistically, honestly blurt out, can I kiss you? I want to kiss you. You're pretty. Do you want to kiss me? Like, any of that, just fucking blurt it out. You have an infinitely higher chance of kissing someone if you fucking say, can I kiss you? Rather than sitting there putting this pressure on yourself to be smooth and then never making a move in the first place. And so, we end up making out. We hang out for another like 45 minutes, have some dinner, kiss some more, have a great experience. It's fucking romantic. We walk her back to her place. I want to fucking kiss her again. So I say, can I kiss you? Yes, we kiss. Fucking goodbye. She kisses Imogen. Amazing. Beautiful experience. Fast forward. I guess I'll give you a little rundown of the next night when we met up and what the sex was like. Tell me if you guys want me to go into more detail with this story. And maybe I would ask her if she wants to come on the podcast and talk about it. That might be nicer. I generally speaking like to get people's permission before I talk too much about what the sex is like. But short and sweet of it is she came over the next night and we had BDSM and we had threesome and we had sex for 6 or 7 or 8 hours long into the night. It was incredibly fucking passionate. She turns out to be a very kinky girl. For someone who has not had much experience at all and has never done BDSM and has never done anything with women, she was incredibly shy at the start. And, I love to hold people's hand through that and mentor them and coach them and all of that. And I was able to sort of coach her on how to make Imogen feel good, how to go down on her. God damn it, these two look so incredibly pretty when they are making out. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. And the sex was utterly insane and, beautiful experience and all of that. But the point that I'm getting to, I guess, is all of that happened because I was able to take this pressure off myself to be smooth, to be perfect. And I was able to give myself that permission to be clumsy. And at this point, that's something it's fucking easy to me to just be like, just be clumsy, Andy. I've done it for like fucking 9 years at this point. Maybe not that long. 7 years, maybe. And so it's easy. It becomes a very strong habit. But the anxiety or that pressure to be perfect never really has gone away from me. And for a lot of people, it doesn't. Like I said, there's like famous fucking singers and rappers and famous people that give like public speeches and stuff that still feel terrified before they go on stage or before they do something. They just don't care anymore. They're just so used to feeling the fear and doing it anyway and just like blurting out whatever it is they need to blurt out or jumping in there with both feet, that they don't put this pressure on themselves to be smooth. Another really good one is improv and stand-up comedy. Stand-up comedians are probably the best people, the best example of people that I can give who are like completely okay with rejection. That is kind of their job. Sometimes they just get rejected. A joke just doesn't land, no matter how hard they try. Even if that joke killed it in the previous like town or city or whatever, they come here and it just bombs. And imagine the discomfort that you might feel being in a room of strangers that have paid money to see you and traveled sometimes a decent way to come and see you, and all the pressure of that, and you say something that doesn't make them laugh and there's just silence in the room and it's awkward. Think about a night where you just completely bomb and what that might feel like. And so those people are amazing at not giving a shit about awkwardness or about like clumsiness or anything like that. And if you can practice a little bit of that in your dating life or your sex life, in other words, if you can be okay with being clumsy, with phrasing things awkwardly and just blurting out, would you like to come back to my apartment? I'm just looking for something casual. Is that okay? Like, is that what you're looking for? I just want to date casually. Do you want that? Can I kiss you? You're really pretty. God, you look sexy. You walk up to a woman on the street, if you can have the courage to just say, look, I've never really done this before, but you're really attractive. You're really pretty. Hi. And then you put your hand out and shake her hand and talk to her. You'll be surprised that some of those women will end up giving you their phone number. And some of those phone numbers Those women will go on a date with you, and some of them will sleep with you or get into a relationship with you. If you don't shoot your shot, you're never going to have a chance at winning. But if you shoot even the most clumsy, awkward, dorky, shitty, terrible shot, some of those will work out. And that will blow your mind. Because for a lot of you, you put this pressure on yourself that you have to be perfect. Men and women do that, by the way. Men and women put pressure on themselves to be perfect, but you really don't have to be. I'm telling you, you don't. You don't know how many hundreds of dates I have been on where I was so fucking awkward, so clumsy, so messy in my delivery, and even the words themselves were awkward, and I stuttered and stumbled. And I even in the early days when I was approaching women, I had one approach, like I talked to one woman, I hit on one woman on the street where I forgot my name. I literally put my hand out and was like, "Hi, I'm Andy." And like, do you, that shit doesn't matter, you know? It's part of being a human, being awkward, being clumsy. It's being imperfect and being okay with that. A sentence that really helps me a lot is whenever I'm putting pressure on myself to be perfect or say the perfect thing or be the perfect person, I will relax and give myself that permission to suck. And I'll say, maybe I do suck and that's okay. Maybe I'm clumsy and that's okay. Maybe I'm awkward and I'm a little bit of a dork sometimes, and that's okay. Maybe I'm not the best coach in the entire world or the best content creator in the entire world, and that's okay. Maybe I'm not the most attractive man on the planet. I don't have the biggest dick. I'm not the biggest alpha male, and that's okay. And adding that little bit at the end, that and that's okay bit at the end, allows space for my humanity, allows space for the other person's humanity. Because if I'm putting pressure on myself to be perfect, which a lot of people do, by the way, or if I'm beating myself up for not being perfect, I then project that to the other person. I expect them to be perfect. I will not allow room for them to be imperfect. But if I can instead give myself permission to suck and give myself permission to be a human, the other person sees that and they see my awkwardness. They see the fact that I'm trying my best. They see the fact that I might be nervous, but I'm courageous enough to do it anyway. And that inspires them. I have talked about this so many times. I've had Imogen on the podcast 1,000 times talking about this. And this on screen is an article that she wrote many years ago called Imogen's Thoughts or Imi's Thoughts on Being Alpha. And something beautiful that she said is, she's talking in this paragraph here about me being okay with the fact that I suck and that I'm not perfect sometimes and all of that. She said, I know that he has struggles too, and that he reminds me that he wasn't always where he is now. This has given me permission to suck. It's allowed me to give myself permission to open up, be honest about my flaws, and better accept the fact that I won't be perfect in our relationship either. She goes on to say, if anything, I admire Andy more because of his struggles. I respect that he recognizes his flaws and how he overcomes adversity. It's like that saying about bravery. You're not brave for not feeling fear. You're brave for facing it. Andy is a strong man that I respect because of his struggles, not in spite of them. And so if you give yourself that permission to suck and just be that awkward, clumsy boy who likes a girl, or be that clumsy, awkward girl that likes a boy and just blurt out the truth, blurt out your honest, intentions or what you're looking for. Just blurt it out. And maybe it's clumsy, maybe it's awkward, maybe you look like a fucking idiot, but you might be surprised that some people really respect and admire that. Not everyone on the planet, of course not, but I'm going to say 90% of people admire the courage to be an imperfect human being. And you might end up, like we did, and like we have many times, end up with a beautiful woman in your bed or a beautiful guy in your bed, and you end up having the most amazing fucking sexual experience of, your life. And all of that is because you were honest. All of that is because you just took the chance or took the time to be that honest person. You know, I've had so many beautiful, amazing experiences that I say, holy fuck, that was the best experience of my life. And it came from the most awkward invitation back to my apartment, you know, or the kiss was so fucking awkward. And I was just like, oh, can I kiss you? And she was like, I don't know. And then I'd be like, oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's fine. And then she's like, actually, okay, maybe you can kiss me. And I'm like, oh, fuck, okay. And then we kiss. And then I'm like, would you like to come back to my apartment? And she's like, oh, what would we do there? And I'm like, oh, fuck. Um, like, what do you, whatever you want to do. Like, we could like make out on the couch, or like, you know, no pressure. Like, we don't have to do anything. Like, just whatever you want. And then she's like, okay. And then we fuck each other's brains out and have crazy good sex, even though it started out so unbelievably clumsy, you know? Even then, putting the pressure on yourself to be perfect, you're not 100% of the puzzle. When you're having sex or having a date or something with another human being, you're only 50% of the puzzle. And so even if you somehow are incredibly smooth, which sometimes I am, yes, sometimes I'm smooth. I've been doing this for long enough that yes, a lot of the time I'm smooth. But even if you're smooth, if the other person is nervous or shy or inexperienced or socially awkward or doesn't know what they're doing, it won't be smooth. You know, I can be incredibly smooth, but if I'm doing BDSM with someone that's never done BDSM before, do you think that's going to be smooth? No. If I'm having sex with someone that's never had sex before or only a few times, is it going to be smooth? No. They're going to fucking headbutt me accidentally. They're going to fucking punch me accidentally without even meaning to when they roll around in a position on the bed or something. They're going to fucking like awkwardly fucking slap their hair in my face or something. They're gonna go to kiss me, but they're gonna fucking miss my lips. Really awkward, clumsy, adorable stuff. But that is all part of the magic. That's all part of human connection. It is messy sometimes. We're not always perfect, but we have a lot of fun anyway. A mindset that I like to have is every human being is just trying to do their best. You know, nobody's trying to be awkward. Nobody's trying to be clumsy. Nobody's trying to be an asshole, even if it seems like they are. Everybody's just trying to do the best that they can with what they have at the time. And if you can apply that to yourself and say, I'm just trying to do the best that I can with what I have right now, then it takes off this pressure to be this perfect human being, to be this like pinnacle of human achievement who's like absolutely top 1% in everything in the entire universe and never makes a mistake and is just utterly perfect in every way, because that isn't most of us. I'll be honest, that isn't me. I'm not perfect. I don't know how to be, but I have built a beautiful life that I am incredibly fucking grateful for by giving myself that permission to suck, by showing up every day and taking some baby steps towards my goals, and by slowly improving over time. And this is something that literally anybody can replicate, whether or not you're perfect, whether you're just a shitty little human being like me. You can improve, you can show up every day, you can take those tiny little baby steps. And if I can build this amazing sex life, this amazing relationship that I have with my amazing girlfriend, and the intimacy and the love and the beauty that we share with one another, if I can have these beautiful relationships with all of my coaching clients where I get to help them and facilitate their greatness and they get to pay the bills and help me keep doing this, if I get to interact with all of you and build this beautiful channel and my podcast and my blog, if I get to wake up every day with a smile on my face and I get to look in the mirror and say, wow, isn't this a fucking beautiful life that I'm getting to live? Isn't this a trip and a half? If I can do that when I was the depressed, suicidal guy who literally wanted to fucking die for like 9 years and tried to, if I can go from that to this, I'm telling you, any of you can do it. I'm not special. I haven't done anything crazy. It literally has just been baby steps every day. Show up for God, what at this point, like it's been about fucking 15 years of self-improvement maybe. If I can do that, you sure as hell can too.